No, I finna go get started, man. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 114, man. Topic for today's podcast is going to be viewing life's experiences. So, this is a podcast that I definitely got inspiration from to do, just from having conversation. And I like to mention kind of where I got some of the ideas for these podcasts because, like I said, it's just Life of a Champ podcast. So, I learn things, and as I learn things or I observe things, I want to go ahead and talk about that, right? So, life experiences, right? So this is gonna be a good one, fellas. This is gonna be a good one. First things I want to say, make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok, just Life of Champ Podcast on TikTok. I'm on my way to hitting 1,000, so I can go live on there, or 1,000 followers, so I can go live on there. I'm looking forward to that very very soon. Also, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on my YouTube Shorts as well as my YouTube clips as well. So if you're a person that can't watch the full podcast but still want to get the game, make sure you go ahead and watch the 5 to 12 minute videos that I'll be posting as well. Those are going to be very very information filled, and hopefully, like I said, if you like I said, if you can't catch the podcast but you still want the game, man, that's gonna be the route to go. Other than that, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. All right, so the reason why I wanted to make this podcast is because I feel like people have a misconstrued perception of how they should view, I'm not gonna say misconstrued. I'm gonna say misunderstanding on how they should experience or how they should view life's experiences, right? Because life experience in itself is something that is going to make or break you. Let's keep it 1,000, right? The way you view certain things, the way you see certain things, the lens that you have on life, right, is going to change everything for you. It's going to change everything for you. You can have two people. Think I'm hear this out, right? You can have two people who are living the same experience. They're experiencing the same thing, but yet their reactions to that experience can change, or rather are different, and that changes their entire life, right? I'm sure you've seen, let's just say, two kids that grew up in a household where they had, I'll just use this example, right? Let's just say you grew up in a household and it was you and your brother, right? And your father was an alcoholic. You decided to be an alcoholic yourself, and your brother chose a different route, right? He chose the route to stay away from alcohol altogether, right? And your entire life paths are going to be different, even though you're having the same experience, right? How you view it is going to change everything. So some people condition themselves to have super spiteful view of life. They see these certain negative things, and they adopt this victim mentality when it comes to reliving these events, right? And that's just gonna put you in a negative position, right? That's not gonna put you in a position to win. That's not gonna put you in a position where you're taking accountability. And of course, there's going to be plenty of times where you can't take accountability, and you just have to kind of look at it for what it is, right? Um, Obviously, those are just going to be far and few between. But with that being said, hopefully there's going to be certain things, and this is what I'm going to recommend for anyone to do in any life experience, whatever life experience you can. I want you to extract all you can from that life experience. What are the certain things that are good? What are the certain things at least you know more of and you're more conscious of? Like I said, no matter how negative the experience is, there's hopefully something you can do to either put yourself in a future position to not experience that again, or like let's just say it's a negative experience, right? To either put yourself in a position where you'll never have that happen to you again, or you'll put yourself where in a position where the ones around you will never get to experience that, right? So that's the way that I look at it, and I'm gonna get into that. So like I said, you must extract the most good you possibly can from these experiences. You must squeeze all the juice from life's oranges or experiences, right? This is something that I would say, sadly, not a lot of people have. I don't have too many negative memories. I really don't, because I've transcended the way that I thought about those certain things. And that is going to be what I recommend for you guys, right? Transcend the things that you have a negative view on. I want you to first take the time, and this is something that I've been so thankful and blessed to actually been able to do, right? Is take the time to go ahead and evaluate some of my most negative life experiences, right? So, a significant experience that I would say I extracted a lot of good things out of, but some people could view it as a negative experience. It's going to be like, let's just say, a breakup or something like that, right? Any breakup that I've had, any breakup that I've had, I've been able to extract all that I can. All of the insufficiencies that I seen that this person noticed, I was able to extract all those things, and now I'm not viewing. I never viewed the interaction for it to be a negative interaction, right? Some of the time, right? I think two people, they just don't work out with each other, right? And some people say, or they break up for whatever reason, right? They say, oh, that was a negative experience, just throw it in the trash, right? Whatever. Yeah, throw it in the trash. That's always going to be, and you always associate it with being a negative experience when that's not what it can be, right? It can be more than that. Like I said, you must transcend that. You must transcend that feeling as a feeling, at the very least, the feeling you never want to feel again, right? There are certain things you can extract from a negative experience that, even a positive experience won't even be able to teach you, right? And like I said, that perfect example is one that I've seen time and time again, right? And that's something that I had to, and I'll give you guys some game on this, right? So I'll use this one individual, one of my exes, right? I had to sit down with this person, let's just say a year after our relationship, right? Where you, we both came to this we both came to this position where we were mature enough to try to at least discuss kind of our views on things, right? And honestly see how much growth we've both made, right? And I do believe this is one of the best talks that I've ever had in my whole life. I really do believe that, right? Because it allowed me to reflect, it allowed me to apologize, and it allowed us to truly push back the interaction, say, "Hey, what did I do wrong? How far have I came from that? And what are the best things that we could take from that and apply that to the next relationship that we have, right?" So not a lot of people can have that mature of enough interaction, right? Usually it goes off negative and then it's just done. It's just done from there, right? But I was in a position, thankfully, where I wasn't say I was on the most positive terms with this person, but like I said, we were just mature enough in that moment. And I like I said, there was things that I viewed that I did to her that I feel like if I didn't go back and rewrite my own perception, or her perception of me, that's something that I didn't want to live with. I don't think I could live with that myself, and that's why I went back and did it over again, and or rather had the conversation, man. Like I said, this is super important. Um, so yeah, regardless of how you view certain things, man, what can you learn from that? What can you extract from that? Truly, um, yeah, that's what I have to say, man. That's what I have to say. Yeah, you must learn to reconstruct the paradigm of having negative life experiences. In my opinion, those don't exist for whatever reason, right? Whether I understand it in the moment or whether I don't understand it in the moment, right? It's supposed to happen. That's the way I view negative life experiences. They're supposed to happen. They're supposed to teach me something. Now, now in the moment I might not understand truly why the hell it's happening to me, right? But I feel like people are just so quick to label something as a negative experience because it feels uncomfortable in the moment. And some of those negative experiences that you're going to have, you're going to later view in life as a positive experience. I've seen this time and time again, where I've seen it through other people's lives where they gone through this hard thing, and you'll see some of the most successful people talk about this. They went through a hardship, and it built the character trait that was needed in order to have something and build something even greater than that experience, right? They were able to extract all these things from that experience. They were able to use the fuel that it gives you, and they were able to apply that to greatness, right? And if you're able to do this, if you're able to transcend your negative beliefs into positive beliefs, man, let me tell you, you're reconstructing the entire lens that you will live life through. And with that being said, yeah, exactly like Grandma said, right? There are necessary growing pains, right? That's just I understand why they are what they are. I don't exactly, right? It's something that you can kind of create a narrative after the fact. You can create the narrative after the fact, but you must accept every life situation and every life experience for what it is, because that's what it is. There's so many people that refuse to truly analyze that situation because it gave them too much pain. But the ones who are able to analyze it, regardless of how much pain it's going to bring you, those people get the most out of life. Those people get the most out of life. That is just the way that I've seen it, and I've seen it time and time again, man. No matter what it is, if you're able to extract those things, man, let me tell you, the progress you'll make, whether it's like I said, even pulling up past traumas, things like that, the progress that you will make it's like almost taking 2 steps back to make like 10 steps forward. That's the way that I will say it, right? And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it's so sad because not people don't want to. Oh, it's not even re-experience the experience, but they don't want to think about that experience because it is associated with negative emotions, right? But in those moments, you still must analyze. You still must analyze. You still must go through it. And even if it feels like you're going through it again, you must figure it out. You must you must think it out thoroughly. And that's what I've done with every single situation in my life, right? That I perceive to be negative. I thought it out. I said, "Hey, how do I avoid this in the future? What are the good things that I've seen? What is the fuel that I can extract from this that's going to apply to my motivation?" Right. So for example, I'll give you an example, right? Perfect example of this. Let's just say, I don't know if you guys know this guy. His name's Iman Gaji, right? He's a very, very famous entrepreneur. I want to say famous. He's well known within the self development community. He's a person that he had all these negative life experiences growing up, whether it was his father being abusive to him and his mother, or him not being in the most fortunate situation. He used those certain things. He extracted all that he could, and he said, "You know what? I had this life experience. Now I could be a bum for the rest of my life, and it would be completely justified because of what I went through." Or I could say, there's something that's actually that can actually be extracted from this experience, and it can be applied and used as fuel, right? And when you use it as fuel, you can transcend those negative experiences into the greatness, like I'd mentioned. And that's exactly what he did. He extracted all that he could, he used it as fuel, and he applied it to his greatness, right? Not many people are able to do that, but if you're able to do that, you're going to be in in a very, very limited group of people, because most people just don't want to. They just don't want to do it for whatever reason. They much rather say, "Oh, that's a negative experience. I'll write it off. I'm gonna try to forget about it." Put it in the back of their mind, and then eventually it's gonna come up again, because that's kind of just how we think as human beings, right? It just comes up again, and then you're dealing with the situation, or you're forced to deal with the situation, instead of inviting the situation and embracing it for what it is, right? Now they relive the situation, and now it ruins their day, right? Or ruins their week, or ruins their month, or ruins their year, whatever it is, ruins their life, right? Think about these things, man. You must think about them very, very thoroughly. And one thing I want to mention as well is this fantastic paradigm, which, like I said, I feel like most people need to have when it comes to these bad times in your life, right? These bad experiences, these bad life experiences. You cannot have the good life experiences and the good times without having the bad experiences, man. You just can't. You can't have one or the other. You need to have both. You got to have both, because it's going to give you more perspective anyways. How are you going to really appreciate the good times for what they are if you've never been through anything bad? Ask that question yourself, because truly, you would take advantage. You would take for granted the good experiences if you never had anything bad happen to you. You would take them for granted. That's what I think. That's what I think. And now I'm not saying it's great to have a negative experience. Of course, it's not, right. It feels like shit the initial um, position, right? But at the end of the day, you must it's necessary. It's a necessary thing in life. It's a necessary thing in life, and you must view it exactly as that. It's not particularly an inconvenience. It's an experience, right? There's going to be good experiences, and then there's going to be experiences you can learn from, right? You reconstruct and you destroy the thought of having a negative experience. That's what I've done. That's what I'm gonna recommend for you guys to do. If you guys want to reconstruct your thoughts, or if you have any thoughts right now, I want you to go and leave in the comments. I'm gonna read a few of these comments. If you're watching this live, make sure you go and tap in the comments and say what's good. We gotta take the time to think of the positives, even in the worst situations, because it gets better. Yeah, I'm gonna break that down real quick. He says something that's very, very interesting. It gets better. You must adopt this mindset. It's gonna get better. That's how life is. It gets better. If you believe it gets better and you act like it's going to get better, it's going to get better then. I don't understand people when they don't see it like that. Life is gonna get better. You're going to have your off days, you're going to have your sad days, your bad days, your days where you feel depressed. but you're also going to have some of the happiest moments of your entire life in the near future. You must believe that. And if you believe that, you're going to manifest that in your own life. Man, this is pissing me off, man. Let me read the rest of his comment. Hold on, man. Hold on, man. Because he gives you better view because yeah, he's right. He's right. Run into problems with a positive insight, knowing it'll be fixed. Exactly. See, like KJ understands, man. KJ understands. It'll all be fixed in due time. It'll all change. Your view of it's going to change, right? And I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I do think this is very, very relevant to the topic, right? Don't be quick to label an experience bad or negative in the current moment, right? It's just that's just so relevant because it's like you're going through it. You don't even know if it's going to be a good experience or a bad experience, which hopefully it's not. It's something you can transcend, but if you're in the moment, you're in the moment because you're relying based off of your emotions, and your emotions can be misleading. Um yeah, your emotions can be misleading. So, maybe you're experiencing one life situation and the next day you're feeling better about it, right? It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Those are just going to be slight waves of what you truly experience. Um, and yeah, you must not say, "Hey, you know what? That was bad. That was bad." Say, "Hey, it could have been better. It for sure could have been better, but what can I take from this experience to hopefully avoid that in the future? Or at least do my best to avoid that in the future," right? That's all you can do, man. That's all you can do. One thing I want to mention as well is going to be life experiences are opportunities. All life experiences are opportunities. People don't view them as opportunities, man. Whether it's a good experience or whether it's a bad experience, it's none other than an opportunity of life. With that being said, if it's a negative experience or perceived negative experience, it's going to mold you into the person that you are meant to become. I'm going to repeat that one more time, right? Some of the most negative life experiences that you will have are going to be so necessary that they will end up molding you into the person that you are meant to become, and more importantly, meant to become for other people. Maybe, and at the very least, even you could even view it as this, right? Let's just say you went through this rough patch of life, this rough experience of life. But at the very least, if you don't see any immediate application or immediate things you can extract from this experience, at the very least, if you recognize that somebody's going down that same path, you'll have something to say. You have some tangible advice that is going to be practical in that specific situation to help that specific person out that you wish you had. See what I'm saying? Like I said, if I'm talking some bullshit, man, let me know, man. But if I'm spitting some heat, man, I want you to let me know. We got a few people in here. Make sure you go and leave a comment, man. But that is the topic for today's podcast, man. I posted something on my Instagram, which I don't know if you're following me on Instagram. I have two of them. I have the Life of a Champ podcast Instagram, and then I have my personal. But one thing that I posted earlier today is going to be your worst experience isn't a person, situation, or thing. It's the story in your mind based on the assumptions and projected fears or insecurities. So that's gonna be somewhat relevant to this topic, right? Your worst enemy isn't a person, a situation, or a thing. Okay, it's the story in your mind. It's the lens which you see it through. There's always going to be negative people. There's always going to be negative situations, and there's always going to be negative things in this world. You must accept that. But now, what you can change and what you can't control are going to be is going to be the story that you tell yourself, the lens in which you see life through. And based on that lens, if you're not taking careful action on making sure that lens is going to be a overall positive lens, regardless of what you go through, you're not going to be in the best position that you possibly can be in. You're going to run in things that are actually going to make you crumble, right? And you're not and here's the thing, if you don't instill the right mindset, you're going to stay there. You're going to stay there, unfortunately. But if you're able to cultivate a strong mindset, if you're able to cultivate this, I would say more it's an idealistic lens of life. Let's be fair. Let's be fair, right? But if you're able to create this optimistic lens of life, you're going to be in a much better position, man. Like I said, it's not life is this life is not. You have one life, right? It's not worth being super pessimistic, man. It's not. It's really not. At least in my opinion, it's not. You must have this. You must have the belief that things will get better. If you, yeah, you must believe that, man. Like I said, if you don't have that if you don't have that same thing, man, hopefully you can get some game to hopefully adopt that in the future. But yeah, it's a tough existence. It's a tough existence for those who see no hope, right? And you know, I can't exactly relate with those people, man. I really try to. I really try to. That's just not something I had in my own life. I've been fortunate enough to have the people who were able to help me cultivate this mindset, right? And this is something that I'm trying to show you that this does exist and you can be like this. You can have this. You can adopt this mindset. You can adopt this life lens. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. But at the very least, if you're a person that's struggling to internalize this, there's going to be certain barriers and certain obstacles that you must face, and there's certain situations in your mind that you must overcome, regardless of how uncomfortable it's going to feel. You must overcome it. You must prevail. You must believe you can prevail. And then once you start reconstructing those things, switching your lens on it, extracting all the positive experiences that you can from it, it's going to be nothing more than just a learning experience. It's not going to be it's no longer going to be negative. It's going to be an experience that you could learn from. And that's all you're supposed to do. That's all you're supposed to do with this life experience. With life's experiences in general, you're supposed to create wisdom over time. That's all you're supposed to do. Bad or good situation, that's all you're supposed to do, man. The people who think about the negativity all the time are the people who are not meant to be in your life because they are trying to bring you down. We can try to help those people, but we can never change them. Only they can change themselves. Exactly. Like I said, all I'm gonna do is give you the game. Whether you refuse to take the game, or whatever you would like to do with the game, whether it's completely discarded altogether or utilize it, it's all on you. It's all on you, right? Yeah, that is just taking the ultimate accountability with your life. That's just taking the ultimate accountability with your life. That is something that I would recommend you do. And if you wanna know some of my personal beliefs, I'm gonna recommend this podcast. This is one of my favorite podcasts that I've ever done. Is going to be the 30 Champ Commandments. If you wanna see what I believe and kind of why I believe those certain things, tap in with that podcast, man. I think it's like episode like 50 something. I don't know. I think 50 if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but that is gonna be a great podcast. At the very least, you can create. If you watch that podcast, at the very least, you can create a strong foundation for what you believe in and create your own commandments, your own rules to live by, right? Which is also going to be another thing that I truly recommend to anybody, especially if you're a person that's lacking the structure, lacking the foundational knowledge of what to believe in and what to think. That's gonna be at the very least a step in the right direction. You can extract at least one. At least you can adopt at least one of those 30 things, man. At least one. And if you refuse all those, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. You're just not a good person, man. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. If you can't extract one thing from that podcast, you're a bad person. I'm telling you that straight up, man. Straight up. But yeah, hopefully y'all got some game from this podcast. I'm gonna go on a little bit longer. I'm gonna repeat some of the things that I'd mentioned, and hopefully, like I said, if you're gonna contribute, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments whether this is uh, an afterthought, whether you're rewatching this or watching this live. I want you to go ahead and leave a comment. Leave a comment based off of what you extracted from this podcast. Um, so yeah, life experiences. There's only good life experiences and ones you must extract the good from, right? That's all that exists. That's all that exists within my mind. That's all that should exist within yours, right? And even in those good experiences, you're going to be able to extract, of course. But what I will say though, and I think it's worth mentioning, you're going to be able to extract more from a negative experience than you can extract from a good experience. That is just what I've observed. That's what I observed in my own life. Is the good experiences I've extracted something. I've extracted plenty from those things, but I've been able to extract more from the negative experiences of my own life. Right? There's been a certain. Okay, first I want to mention I haven't lived the most unfortunate life of all time. Definitely not. Definitely not. I've been very very thankful for that. But what I will say though is the things that people could use as a crutch to be the reason why they aren't where they need to be. I have removed all those. I removed all those. Right? there's certain situations that were less than ideal in my own life, whether you like to believe it or not, right? There's been certain things where I could have said, man, you know what? Why is this happening to me? Why does the world hate me? And completely adopt this victim mentality. But instead, I said, hey, what are certain things that I can extract from this experience that maybe somebody else that's living that same experience would go down the other path? How can I completely avoid that path? And I went ahead and took that path. Um, yeah, like I had mentioned, you must reconstruct the paradigm of having negative life experiences. That's something that I've done time and time again. This is something I'm 100% always going to recommend. You must experience it, and sometimes I want to mention this as well. You must remove yourself from this and become an observer of the situation as a whole. Push it away a little bit because obviously you're in it, right? Push it away a little bit and say, okay, I'm gonna look at this as an entire whole, right? There's gonna be certain things in the immediate moment that you can extract from this experience. 100%, 100%. I've done this time and time again. There's gonna be immediate things that you can take action and go ahead and extract from right then and there. And then as time goes on, there's going to be plenty more that you can extract from this experience because you're no longer in that day-to-day routine, right? That's the way that I'm going to recommend for you to live life, man. That's if there's a better way to live life, man, let me know and I will, man, I'll then yeah, let me know, man. Let me know. I'll try to hopefully adopt that, man. Fellas, you cannot have the good times without having the bad times. You must have both. There's no just one. There's no I'm gonna mention this as well. I'm gonna mention this as well, right? This was one of the things the most profound pieces of information that I consumed over the last 5 years, right? And this is going to be something that I've said time and time again on this podcast, and it's time and time again always going to be something that's true for me, right? You must pursue meaning, not happiness, right? Happiness comes from these positive life experiences, right? But meaning is going to be forged by having those negative experiences and extracting the most you possibly can, and saying, I had this negative life experience, but there's going to be true meaning that I can extract from this experience, right? And with that being said, that's gonna mold you. That's gonna truly mold you, right? The good experiences, they mold you, of course. They mold you, of course. But compared to the negative experiences, it's just they're not gonna be able to mold you as well, right? Especially as men, I would say more importantly for men, you need the negative experiences, man. You absolutely need them. Whether it's physical hardship, whether it's mental testing, whether it's testing by the opposite sex, regardless of what it is, you're going to need these things because these things are going to be able to, these are just going to be life's tests, man. And you're going to hopefully be able to prevail and hopefully prove yourself right once again. But you need these things. You need these obstacles. You need these things. Like I said, they're the absolute essential of life. They're the essential to this experience. Definitely telling it like it is. Every situation you encounter will require you to open your mind to new awareness of how you handled the perceived difficulties so that you have that ability. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right. Like I said, it's just going to be a test, man. Ability to deal with future situations. Yes, exactly. And sometimes when you don't learn the lessons, this is significant as well. Sometimes when you don't learn the lessons, life gives it back to you. Life says, "Hey, man, you didn't learn the first time. All right, well, go ahead and deal with it again, and hopefully you make some differences. Hopefully you make some changes. Hopefully you adjust, and hopefully you've learned something and extracted experiences and extracted all you could from that negative experience that you had. So you might be revisited with a similar situation or damn near the same situation, right? If you're able to extract from that negative situation when that situation reappears within your life in its own different version, you're going to be able to handle it accordingly, aren't you? You're going to be able to handle it accordingly. You're going to be able to handle it better than you did in the past. For sure. For sure you are. Because you've done what you needed to do. You've extracted what you needed to extract. And you weren't just a victim. You weren't just a victim of the situation. I hate that victim mentality. I can't stand it because it conflicts with my own personal views of how I view the world and how I view the accountability that one must take for their own life. So, yeah, for sure. Like I said, the negative experiences are at the very least going to show you what you don't want. And that's something to be said, man. That's something to be said, right? Okay, for example, I'm gonna use an example because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, right? Unfortunately. But let's just say you grew up with a father that isn't as ideal as he possibly could have been, right? Whether you have a father or whether you don't have a father, or like let's just say you had a father, he wasn't as great as he could have been, right? He could have did more, whatever, 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 right? With that being said, you can say, man, why did life do this to me? Why did I not come up with a father? Hold up, man. Yeah, why did I not come up with a father that was particularly ideal? I could have been such a better person because of the situation. But instead, you say, hey, or let's just say let's just say you're a man and you're a son, right? You could say, hey, well, moving forward, I don't want to be like that for my kids, right? So I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure I'm not like that. Or if you're uh, a daughter, right, going to that life experience, you could say, hey, well, now I need to learn what it takes to what do I want out of my husband, right? How do I avoid this situation by not repeating the constant cycle that I've seen with my own life, right? What are admirable traits in a man that my father sadly didn't portray, right? What are ideal traits in a man that I would love my husband to be like? See, that's how you extract something. That is the perfect example of having a negative or less than ideal life circumstance, and then completely flipping it and transcending it to work in your favor. Because you can't change some of these things, and that's something that I want to be very very clear on. These particularly negative situations, right? You can't change them. They're in the past for the most part. The ones you will encounter in the future, they're going to be a past moment, right? You can't change the past, but what you can do is do what you can. What can you do? You can extract from that life experience. That's all you can do. And with that being said, that's going to give you control. That gives you somewhat control. In times you're going to feel like you don't have any control, but there's going to be times where you feel like you have control. And that is going to be one of those very few moments where you're actually going to have control. How can I extract the most I can from this experience? Come on, fellas. Come on, fellas. See, like I said, if I'm spitting the game, man, let me know. If I'm not, let me know, man. Let me know. Yeah, I want to reaffirm this, man. Never be quick to label a life experience that you're currently going through. Because, and more importantly, I wanted to mention this as well, right? Let's just say you're having the most greatest experience that you ever had in your whole life, right? And you're saying, man, this is the best experience that I've ever had in my whole life. And then something bad happens, something very very unfortunate happens, right? You label that situation a good thing, and then it ended being a thing that wasn't as good, right? You counted all your eggs before they hatched, right? Don't be quick to do that either. Don't be quick to do that either, because like I said, life is unpredictable, right? Life is completely unpredictable, right? So yeah, don't be quick to label an experience, whether it's a bad experience, something perceived bad. Just say, hey, you know what? There's going to be a better day. Things are going to get better. You must believe this. Not only say it, and if you say it, here's the thing: if you don't believe it, just say it, because you're more likely going to believe it if you say it. So if you keep repeating it to yourself, even if it doesn't feel as genuine or as real, hopefully it will manifest for you in your life. Hopefully, right? That's all you can do, because that's all you can do, right? So yeah, don't be quick to label a life experience for what it is. Just try to be very, very conscious in the moment. Extract all you can from that current situation, and then, like I said, when you're away from that situation, view it as just an experience. Don't view it as a negative. Don't put this negative connotation onto it, because if you put this negative connotation to it, you're basically intertwining negative emotion into an experience. And I'm not to say that you didn't experience negative emotion, but you're creating certain ties and extra vulnerabilities into your own life, right? When you could just say, hey, this is just a life experience, right? It didn't make me feel the greatest, but this was just a life experience. And like all life experiences, what can I learn from this? That's all you can do. That's all you can do. What was I going to say? Yeah, I forgot what I was about to say. But yeah, hopefully I'll get something from this, man. The power of the word. Exactly. Exactly. Come on now. Exactly. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this quote one more time because, like I said, it was relevant to today, and it applies if you create it to apply it, it applies. Your worst enemy isn't a person, a situation, or a thing. It's the story in your mind based on the assumptions or projected fears or insecurities, right? Basically saying the way that the thing that I get out of that, everybody's gonna get something different, but I'm gonna give you what I get out of that, right? Your worst enemy isn't going to be the negative people, the negative situations, the negative things. It's always going to be the lens you see life through. The way that you see it in your mind is the way you see things in your mind will manifest into reality, right? With that being said, you must be very very careful with the things that you see. You must, like I said, if you have a negative experience, extract all you can from it, and hopefully create it to be at least a neutral experience. At least, I'm not saying every single negative experience in your life is going to go from negative to positive. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, right? And if I haven't made that clear, I'm not saying that. I'm not. That's not my intention. I'm saying, at the very least, neutralize it. Say, hey, this was negative, but I learned something from it, so it's neutral. If you can neutralize negative experiences, some of your most negative experiences, dude, you're gonna be doing so much better than most people, man. You're gonna be doing so much better than most people. That's just me being real. That's just me being real, man. But yeah, fellas, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end it off here soon. So make sure you go and tap in the comments. Like I said, whether you're watching this or watching this live, I want you to let me know, man. Let me know if you learned something from this. Let me know if you at the very least adopted something new. And if you didn't learn anything right away, hopefully when you go into it, when you go into life experience, you can at least remember some of this, right? That's kind of the way that I see it a little bit as well. Is sometimes I don't exactly know how I'm gonna apply some knowledge, but life gives me a certain situation, and I'm a vessel. I'm a vessel. So I start remembering things. I start having these thoughts that allow me to have a better lens when going into a certain situation, right? Certain mindsets, certain things that I've heard start to come to me, and it allows me to apply that to that current life situation. So that, like I said, that is the way that I see it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Yeah, I love today's podcast topic. I love today's podcast topic, man. It's just something that like I said, it's just so relevant, and yeah, yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I've seen it too many times. I've seen it too many times that, oh yeah, I had this negative life experience, man, and just every time you bring it up, it's like a little. Every time I've seen somebody bring up a negative life experience where I can tell it still has some emotional ties to it. All I visualize is just a little cloud over their head, just a little raining cloud, just in their own section, just right here. That's it. But if you say, hey, I had this bad experience, but here's what I extracted out of this experience. Here's what I learned from this experience. I see the cloudiness, and I see the sun peeking through the clouds and evaporating the cloud. That is what I see. That's just what I see. And one thing I want to mention as well, man, is I'm going to mention this because I think this is really really necessary. Some of these situations, some of these ways in which I'd recommended for you to think, right? I don't particularly I don't particularly consciously think of these things. I don't say, "Hey, look, okay, what can I extract?" It's just something that just like it comes to me. It just comes to me, and like I said, it's not going to come to just everybody, right? So some people are going to need that conscious effort, right? A lot of people are going to need the conscious effort, and sometimes I need the conscious effort as well. But I feel like just the way my mind works, I just come to these conclusions myself. And J. Cole said it in one of his most recent interviews that he's done. It's not words, it's a feeling. Now I'm good at translating that. I've gotten better at translating that feeling that I had, or that thought that I had. I'm able to translate that, and hopefully give you guys some a practical life advice. But yeah, that's the way that I see it. I don't particularly like. I use pretty much most of what I say, but at the same time, there's going to be certain things like this. This all happens within my mind. This all happens within my mind. I don't consciously think, oh, what can I extract from this life experience? It's just like, I don't know. It's just the process. It's just the way my brain processes it. I don't know. That's the only way I can describe it. But I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Like I said, if you're a person that's needed this podcast, I want you to let me know you needed this. Yeah, it's as simple as that. I'm gonna go ahead and end it off. Appreciate everyone stopping by. This was the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 114, talking about viewing life experiences and, more importantly, how you should view negative life experiences. A few things I want to mention. Like I said, follow me on TikTok, just Life of Champ podcast on TikTok, and as well, leave a like on my YouTube shorts and my YouTube clips as well. Um, Other than that, yeah, exactly. It's a training and harnessing of your thoughts. Exactly. That's the way that I would describe it. That's perfect. Last thing I want to mention, fellas. Man, hold on. Let me make sure I got this shit right, man. Fellas out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure you outwork these motherfuckers because you know I am. As I'm about to go to the gym right now. So, like I said, I work these motherfuckers like, I'm already doing that, so you might as well do it yourself, man. Come on now. Don't waste your time, man. Y'all have a good night, and I'm gonna be having, man. I keep saying this, man. I need to have a live stream. I wanna chop it with y'all, listen to music. I'll be having that very, very soon. Um, yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited, fellas. Y'all have a good night, and until next week on Tuesday, I'll be having a podcast. So look forward to that. Y'all have a good night, and like I said, yeah, have a good night, man.